Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to another PGR reaction. Today we have Echoes from the Abyss. This one didn't really have that many likes in the comments section, but the one that did, which was the collaboration with Devil May Cry, didn't have a specific song for me to get to, so I'm actually going to let you guys decide which one you want me to get to first from that. I saw there was like an overall OST, there was a battle theme and a boss theme that were separate, so I don't know which one to go to first, so let me know which to do first on that. So I'll get to this one in the meantime as requested by Razy Sage, and we will see what this one has to offer with its apparently looping melody. So without further ado, let's go! Ooh. A little bit of visual stuff this time too. I assume it's just setting the location. Oh, that's kind of neat. Yeah, I don't even know what I would call that. I mean, it's percussion, but I don't even know what that is. I think it's a few things layered. The weird part is the main hit just kind of sounds like a box. Kind of neat to use different things though. More of a sound design approach to the percussion than just using drums. And I see what they mean about the looping. Ooh. Okay. Oh, that's way more intense than I thought it would be. Ooh, okay. All right. Complete mood change. Total 180. We went from like an atmospheric industrial sort of sound to this cinematic, very oppressive pressure. Ooh. God, okay. They're doing some fun stuff with the percussion in this one. A lot of little built-up details. Little elements of basically anything that can make a sound almost. I don't think any of those are actual samples. I think those might all be custom. Aside from like the bass drum stuff. Oh. That's where that ends? That felt like there was so much more to hear. Well, I guess that's where it ends. Maybe it transitions into something else? I really, there was something else there. They just cut out and faded it. I'm kind of bummed. I wanted to know where that was going to go. Maybe it just loops. I don't know. I'll just talk about what I heard. So yeah, this one kind of caught me off guard, not just because of that ending being so, in my opinion, kind of sudden. Again, I'm pretty sure that just fades into something else, but the way this was played out was kind of unique to me, just because it felt like it was building up so naturally through the first half, and then it basically turns into a completely different song. And that first half was really nice because it was slow, it was methodic, and I think that's the looping section that Sage was talking about in the comment requesting this, because yeah, that does have a pretty significant loop to it. It's pretty obvious that that's just what's happening, but even though those notes on the piano especially are just kind of sitting there just dinging on one or two notes and not really moving too much, there's a tension building because of that lack of movement. That's a pretty common thing to do in any composition, especially more cinematic things. When you want something to just stay static, you literally do that in the music sometimes. You will just hit a note and keep hitting the note. It just makes things sound a little bit off. It's kind of similar to taking a song and doing a like major to minor chord shift where everything feels like it just kind of skews to the side, where this doesn't do that. It just kind of bombards you with the same tone, and there's almost like an insanity relativity to that, where like the listener is like, okay, let's go. I can't believe we're still doing this, but not necessarily in an aggressive way, just more of like a, God, we've been here a while. Where's the story going? We feel stagnant listening to stuff like that. And that's usually the exact reason that people put it in there. So I assume what's happening here is that they're trying to tell that story in the first half and kind of build things up and get that tension to settle in and start making you almost feel a little bit uncomfortable. So when those changes do happen, you're almost caught off guard, even though it's only been happening for like 10, 15 seconds. That stagnant feeling is just in our nature uncomfortable as humans. We don't like that. We like to hear resolution in music and movement throughout composition. We don't like to hear things just not doing anything. It's like, come on, go, you know? So I think they're doing that for this song just to make the listener feel like, okay, there's the same shit going on, different day. And then when the piano kicks in a little bit more after the 1 minute mark somewhere in there, it feels a little bit more alive. It's like, oh, here's the actual progress. It opens everything up a little bit more. And again, kind of back on that percussive stuff, that percussion is subtle, but it's also very like organic feeling. Like I was saying, it almost felt like a box shuffling and like somebody just kind of recorded themselves hitting something that's not a conventional instrument. And that kind of makes the listener again feel a little bit more tied down to a reality in that moment where things feel more organic, therefore they feel more relatable in our ears. And that's probably something to do with the story here too. They want you to feel like you're a little bit more in the place, you know, like a little bit more in context than having something that just sounds cool and it's big and orchestral, but you can't relate to that as a person. So having these little textures in there that are kind of familiar and everyday to us, stuff we hear all the time, that makes it that much more relatable. But then they take all of that away by fading it out and cutting in with a big orchestral cinematic vibe that's completely different from the first half of the song. And it's like, okay, now what's happening? Now the real shit starts. Like, this gets more intense, way more intense. The choir comes in and you're like, okay, stakes have finally been set. We're no longer stagnant. This is effectively the actual action of what we're dealing with. This is the battle we have to deal with. And that's what's happening. And at least in my opinion, I'm not sure if this is a battle song, but it definitely has that big presence energy with the cinematic vibe. So I'm assuming it's some sort of a boss theme or related adjacent thing going on. But there were, to be fair, some things in this that kind of took me out of that. Some things where I was like, oh wow, we're in this big cinematic energy in this cinematic world, but then the choir was like so obviously, in my opinion, fake. Like, it was very clearly a preset. It was very clearly a sample pack that somebody was manipulating. And that's a fine thing. You know, everyone uses sample packs these days, and that's okay. It's a lot cheaper and a lot more efficient than hiring an actual choir to sing your part. It might not sound quite as good, but at the same time, you know, nobody's going to really notice in the mix. So it's not something I tend to focus on. But for this one, they just did not mix it in too well. Usually the way to fight that improper feeling, that kind of I would almost call it an uncanny valley effect with the audio there, because the voices suddenly sound so fake to me. The way to combat that is to mix them properly, to add a little bit of humanization to them, make them a little bit more offbeat, you know, kind of add some, it's going to sound weird to say this, but artificial, organic feel, which a lot of people do, but they didn't really do that too much with those voices specifically. The rest of the orchestra was great. The rest of the instruments sounded very together, but also had enough spacing that I didn't really feel that uncanny effect. It was just the voices, and that can be difficult to mask depending on how many other things you have going on, yada yada, technical jargon bullshit. You know, you don't need all that detail, but the point is, it was there, and it did kind of take me out of it. Other than that, though, it was a really decent second half, and I really loved that first half. The second half had a lot more of that interesting percussive stuff going on. It felt like a natural evolution of the first half, where like that was really subtle and a lot more toned down, scaled back, very subtle things. Like I said, small and organic. Felt like somebody just kind of hit in a box. All the other stuff then layered on top of each other, and it felt a little bit more busy, but also didn't really lose that organic feeling, which is great. So that kind of helped keep me around, even though the vocal things had kind of taken me out of it. That's what got me back in. So balancing all of that is very important as well, because you might not get it right in one aspect, but then you might make up for it in another one, and they did a really good job at that. Overall, it's really good, but there were just tiny things in there where I'm like, nah, they could have done a little bit better, spent a little bit more time, but it's not necessarily wrong or bad, just personal gripes I have. But I do think that this entire song does a pretty good job, especially that first half, building that tension, like I said, getting all of that together and getting the player and the listener to feel like they're preparing themselves for something and you're not quite sure what, and you want to be there for that natural progression, for that natural resolve that doesn't really ever show up until the second half kicks in. Then you're like, oh shit, that's what we were building for. It's kind of strange that they decided to fade it out and then kick it right into that big energy, but I'm sure there's a reason for that. Either it's a boss that shows up like that, or it's just a complete shift in scene and mood. I don't really know what it would be, but I could see why there's a gap there. It's just kind of odd to hear it on its own with no other context. So that's really my only other gripe on this one. And as such, I think I've yapped about this one enough. So thank you all so very much for watching. Let me know which one I should get to from the Devil May Cry collaboration so I can actually do those. I don't know if I'll do 1, 2, 3. I don't know how many songs there are in that event, but let me know which one you want me to get to first down below, and I will do my best as always. Or otherwise, if you just like this video and you want to follow me and support me for other stuff in the future, you know how to do all that. And I will see you all in the next video. Goodbye!